Hello, welcome back to Math 110. Let's get started. Lesson 2.1. Let's do some preparatory skills. Some of this is review, and we'll continue to review throughout this course. Go back and revisit things to make sure that we really understand and being able to work with them. So here's skill 1 is calculated percentage. We've talked about this before. How do we calculate a percentage? We take whatever the part is and divide it by the whole. So that gives you the percentage in decimal form, and then we take that decimal form, move 2 decimals to the right to turn it into a percentage, and from a percentage we go 2 decimals to the left. So here we're going to divide out some numbers, and we're going to express this. So here's the part is 20. We take 20 and a whole was 50, so we divide this out. We get 0.4. We move 2 decimals to the right. That gives us 40%. So 20 is 40% of 50. Alternatively, if I have a percentage, I turn it into decimal point 40, multiply it times 50. That gives me the part. The percentage times the whole is the part. Part divided by the whole is the percentage. So 110 divided by 150 is 0.733. That's 73.3%. So 110 is 73.3% of 150, and 73.3%, 0.733 times 150 gives us the part. Percent times the whole gives us the part of the 110. So 8 divided by 120 is 0.067, 6.7%, and then so 8 is about 6.7% of 120. 0.067 times 120 would give us that 8. 200 divided by 150 is about 1.33. This is a larger than this now, so this is a bigger. And 200 is about 133% of 150. So 100% of 150 would be just the 150, 33% more, and that would be the 133% point. 1.33 times 150 gives us the 200. So here is some kind of complex fractions, and we've got a lot of operations to do. And what we want to make sure is that if I've got this long line that separates the numerator stuff from the denominator, if it includes everything, I want to do everything up top first, everything, all the operations down at the bottom before I do this simple. I don't want to kind of be doing any divisions in here. I don't want to go, okay, well, that's just 5 into 15. Well, that's 3. I just add the other ones. That's not going to work. So here they're going to add up everything to 66 divided by 5, and then that gets us at 13.2. And here I have to do it to the denominator. Top's the numerator, bottom the denominator. I'm going to do the 7 plus 3, the 10, minus the 6, the 4. Then I do my division. Here I've got a mixture of operations I've got to do at the top and the bottom. I need to do all that simplification first, all the simplification at the bottom, and then I can do. That gives us about 15. So a lot of times we'll be given a list of numbers when we'll just be working with it. Here's a list of numbers, and we need to put those things into order first. It's just easier to work with things if they're in order. So here's an efficient method that the book would like to share with you. They say go and find the lowest number on the list and write it down. Then cross it off the original list. So how do we find the lowest? I start out with the very first one and then scan each next one and ask myself, is that number smaller than that first one? And that keeps dropping me down until I get the smallest one. Once I find that smallest one out of there by doing that, I cross that one out, write it over to the side, and then I go back and do the very same thing again. Is the first one the smallest? Well, is the next one smaller? No, I keep on that. And if none smaller, that very first one would have been the smaller. But once I find one smaller, I switch and I say, oh, is this the smallest? I've already looked backwards. All of those were bigger than the previous one, so I just keep moving forward. Hope that helps. So 120 is what percent of 500? 120 divided by 500. 11 divided by 20. 7,000 divided by 12. Go do those. Simplify numerator and denominator before you do the division. convert fractions to decimals, and then round us to the nearest tenths. The third, so we would look at the next one, tenths, hundredths, thousands. I would look at the hundredths. If that's bigger than or equal to 5, I would round up. Put this list in order from least to greatest. I would start out with 20.3. This is what I was telling you before. Take that first one. Assume that that is the smallest, and just ask yourself, is this smaller? Yes. 19.1 is, so this is the one I'm going to work with. Is 15 smaller? Yes. Now this is the one I'm going to work with. Nope. Yes. I want to deal with 9.2. No, 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 no. So 9.2 is my first one I'm going to write over to the side, cancel that out, and then I go all the way back over again and say, is this the next? It's easier doing that with a very long list of numbers than trying to scan through and find the smallest one. Excel, you can find the min, equal min, cancel that out, then it's still harder than doing just this one. Okay, so what are some strategies that can help you improve for the next exam? We just looked at this. We just had our Unit 1 exam. And what are some strategies that we can start working on that we can use to improve our scores? So things that I would like for you to do is look over your notes, go back through, rework old homework problems. These are, go pick out some sampling ones, maybe one out of each section or one out of every type of problems. Rework them. Don't just look over them. Rework those things so your mind can build that mental framework of how to go about the process. The process is the most important, not the actually, the work. And so you have to do 3 or 4 things to get the answer. So don't try to just memorize the answer. Look, memorize that process, and that same process is the same thing over and over. So you're just trying to memorize the process. What are the steps I need, and then that'll apply to thousands of problems. So what are some of the habits that are not going to be helpful? Procrastination. Waiting to the very end to start studying is not a good idea. Not studying enough. You need to study a little bit throughout the class, work on problems. If you can do 30, 40 minutes every day, that's ideal. Your mind gets set up that, man, this is important. I get to do this over and over. I want to do them, and then I'm going to start working through them. Strategies. Relax. Read each question carefully. Look for important words. Do the questions you're confident about first. It's amazing just your confidence level of getting up your confidence on the test, doing 2 or 3 that okay, I've got this. Once you do those, and then go back to the harder ones, and you'll feel more comfortable doing those. So when a test has been graded and returned, students and instructors are usually interested in knowing what the class average was. Explain the meaning of the word average in your own words. Don't think in terms of formulas, but what it tells you. So the average is that middle. If all of them were grouped together, here would be the middle piece of it, right? It would be somewhere the middle numbers. And that's what the average is. It's one of the measures of center. Okay? So in math and stats, the term average is sort of a generic term with several interpretations. The one right in the middle, that's kind of what it is. Okay. The mean is another term for the average. So the mean of a set of numbers is what you probably think of as the average. You find it by adding up all the numbers. Here's the formula. Add up all the numbers, divide it by how many numbers there are on the list. You average them out. Okay. We use the term mean if you're in statistics. Okay. So the median of a list of numbers, that value that lives right in the middle of a set of, if you arrange it in order, we just talked about arranging numbers in order. If I arrange them all from the least to the most, the median is if I split half the numbers, I go right to the middle number, and if I could see this, I'd say, okay, half of them are less than that, half of them are more. In order to do this, though, I've got to ask myself if the number in the list is odd or is it even numbers in the list. So if there's an odd number of values, the median is the value that has the same number of values above and below it on the list. If I have 7 values, I have 3 above, 3 below, and the 1 in the middle. Okay, so 3, 4, and then the 3 is the 7. That middle one, that fourth position, I take 7 divided by 2, that's 3.5. So I've got an odd little number there. That's 3. I go up to the next one and make it 4. So instead of doing the 3.5, I'm looking at the fourth position. Whatever that number is, that's the median. Half the numbers are less than that, half the numbers are more. So I'm finding the position, but then I'm using the number in that position. If there's an even number of values, the median is the mean of the two values right in the middle of the list. So if I had 8 divided by 2, I get 4. So I've got an even number. I want to look at that fourth and the fifth position, the last and the first of the next half, and average those two. So divide them by 2. Add them, divide by 2. The mode of a list of numbers is the value that appears most often. Okay, so this is kind of goes with this center of data, but it's not necessarily the center of data. It's frequently grouped together. The mean, the median, and the mode are kind of grouped together as measures of center. The mode may actually be the last two or the first two. It may not be anywhere in it. It's just the most frequent one. But if it's a nice little symmetric where things in the middle are grouped together, that mode is going to be grouped together in the center. So this only works for a nice little bell-shaped curve. So here's some things I can do. Find the mean test score in exam 1. Here's a table. So here's my exam 1. So what I'm going to do is add up all of these numbers, all of the numbers in the exam. They total to 1001. I have 13 numbers in the list, divided by 13. So my average is going to be the 0.77 or 77%. Again, these are exams in percent. Find the median test score. Well, I've got 13. 13 divided by 2 is what, 6.5? So I go to 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I had 6.5, so I'm going to round up and look at that. That's the middle one. 6 above, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 below. So that 75 is given. Now these aren't in order, so I couldn't do that. I needed to order them first, 54 all the way up to 96, and then I pick out that position. It's the same one. The position is correct, but it needs to be ordered to give me my 80%. I was thinking they were already ordered for us. So find the mode of the exam 1 scores. So if I go back up here, I'm looking for the ones that are grouped together. There's 3 occurrences of 81. The mode is 81. None occurs more than 3 times, and that's the mode. That's the most common score, 81. Okay. I hope you got something out of it. We'll see you next time. Have a good day.